Formerly known as the Sempra Energy Building at 101 Ash Street in downtown San Diego. The building was acquired by the city in 2016 as a lease-to-own agreement, valued at about $72 million. The city took possession of that building, but it was riddled with asbestos, which the lease agreement allegedly stated. And here is where the building stands today. The city has stopped the $535,000 monthly payments due to the problems and the vacancy of the building. The mayor has ordered an investigation into the building. But who supported the purchase? Well, we know that Mayor Kevin Faulconer did, as did mayoral candidate Todd Gloria, who was a city council member at the time. But it was also backed by the support of City Attorney Maura Elliott. So who shares the blame and what can be done about it now? Joining us now to talk more about the building is San Diego mayoral candidate Barbara Bree. Great to talk with you, council member.
Thank you. Good evening, Logan.
So who do you think is to blame? I mean, I hate to ask people to point fingers, but it just seems like it was such a bad decision and so many people were involved in it. Where do you look to something like this?
Well, it was a group bad decision made before I joined the council. And once I got to City Hall and realized that this building was sitting empty, I was the first council member to demand accountability on transparency on the history of this transaction, of this failed transaction. So as you noted, my opponent as a city council member enthusiastically supported the purchase. I think he forgot to read page 1 of the contract. I'll hold it up right now. It clearly indemnified the seller from all liability. It was a lopsided agreement in favor of the seller, something the city never does in other agreements. So it was a combination of my opponent wanting to buy the building, the mayor wanting to buy the building, and the city attorney signing off on a purchase, a complicated lease purchase that was done because it was above the appraised value. And my opponent clearly heard in public testimony that the city was paying a premium, that the taxpayers were paying a premium of $16 million to do this complicated purchase. And the next question should have been, why? Why aren't we going direct to the real owners of the building? And then once there was a contract, he should have questioned why this extraordinary indemnity language.
So do you have an answer to that? Why? I mean, what happened? We assume that these are good, honest, smart people. What do you think went wrong?
I think there was enormous pressure to buy the building by city employees. And I think, listen, I have a business background. I've been involved in complicated real estate transactions. I read all 1,000+ pages of the Soccer City ballot measure. I think there's a certain level of competence that my opponent simply doesn't have because he spent his whole career in government. And if he had simply read page 1 of the contract, he would have seen the extraordinary liability language that the city was taking on.
Some people have said, well, okay, city council members aren't all attorneys and they do the best they can. But then you look at City Attorney Maura Elliott and you wonder, well, she's the city attorney. Might there have been kind of more of an onus on her to maybe take a closer look? I don't know. Maybe I don't know what to think.
Yeah, so I wasn't there at the time. It was before I got to the city council. What I've done is go back and look at the tapes of the public hearings. So I've seen my opponent testify, speak at the public hearings. I've heard the questions he asked. I've thought about the questions he should have asked. I, heard him make the motion to enthusiastically buy the building. I, can't make a conjecture about the city attorney.
Yeah, I mean, we're all just kind of second guessing them right now. You mentioned the municipal employees maybe pressured. They wanted the building. Do you think unions were involved? Was lobbying involved? Were a lot of different groups really trying to push this through? And maybe that's where...
Yeah, there was a lot of pressure to buy the building. There was a lot of moneyed interests that wanted this transaction to go through, and it was rushed. It could have been slowed down. It could have, there could have been more conversation about how can we get a better sales price? How can we finance it on more favorable terms to the taxpayers? I mean, because we, went through this complicated lease purchase, the interest rate is higher. So it's like having a mortgage on your house. and having a higher interest rate on the mortgage, that makes your monthly payment higher. So there are all kinds of things the city could have done that would have been less expensive and beneficial to the taxpayers.
So we're in this bind right now. If you're elected mayor, what do we do? How do we get out of this the best way we can?
So I'm a businesswoman. I think there is a way to negotiate. There are a lot of interested parties. There's a long list of corporations, of individuals that have a vested interest in this. And as mayor, I will get everybody around the table and attempt to work out a deal that is fair to the taxpayers. That is my goal.
Councilmember Barbara Bree, good to talk to you. Thanks for the insight. Always a pleasure. Appreciate it.